Welcome to Orca Watch Live with Robin Petch.
Hello everyone, welcome to Orca Watch 2022. Seems only a year ago. In fact, it was only a year ago that I was last here and I was talking about coming up and being part of it this year. Didn't work out quite like that. I'm back on the cruise ships working as onboard naturalist. I did visit Shetland on one of those cruises and had a quick chat with Karen Hall, one of our partners. And I did sail through and see the Jog Ferry, but not any orcas, unfortunately. So I didn't actually make it up there, but I've heard wonderful things about the whole event. I know many of you watching will have been there, enjoying all of the activities and the sightings that took place. We'll hear a little more about those as we go through this. Lots of sightings, lots of people meeting and working together, helping record sightings for Sea-Watch Foundation. And we're going to look back during the programme this evening at some of those events, some of the best of the sightings. We'll have a chat with one or two of the people who were there, and look forward also to National Whale and Dolphin Watch and Orca Watch 2023, hopefully. So yeah, great event, and the sightings began very early on with one of our official volunteer observers. That's Harry Clark, made the first sighting, and we have some recorded footage from the interview with Harry about that sighting.
Yeah, so me and my partner Christy, we're postcards from Cornwall. We've came up for Orca Watch. We've never seen orcas before, so we were super excited about coming up here. And on the Saturday, it was just like kind of get to know the area type thing, and we saw those little notification that there was potentially orcas off the east coast near Nos Head and Trinky and Sarclet. And then so we raced to Nos Head. We sat in the cold for about an hour or so, and then we got another notification saying off the wind farms, which we could see. So we're all frantically trying to look over these wind farms. And then my partner Christy, there was about 6 of us, she spotted these 2 huge bull dorsal fins come out of the water. And then we lost sight of them for about a couple of minutes, and then we spotted them again, and then we just followed these 2 bull orcas for maybe like half an hour or so, just heading up north past the wind farms. Granted, they were maybe like 1.5, 2 miles out, but it was amazing to see. We were kind of seeing their heads, but you could see blows and you could see fins, and it was very distinctive, like these 2 male bulls, these huge straight dorsal fins coming flying out the water. It was amazing. Because it was our first time seeing orcas, we didn't want to miss the opportunity to continue watching them. But somebody was saying there's the ferry that leaves some John O'Groats, so we were to and froing about the fact of whether to race all the way here, which is like 40 minutes away, jump on a ferry and try and get another glimpse, or to stay there and just continually watch them from 2 miles away. So we made a decision to come back, jump on the ferry, and because we're Orca Watch volunteers, it was £8 there and back to Orkney, which is just a great price anyways. It was really nice of John O'Groats Ferry to do that for us. So we jumped on, and then instantly the ferry like diverted towards Duncansby Head because they were spotted off there. And our hearts were like racing because we'd never seen orcas this close. Bear in mind, we'd never seen them before anyways. And then all of a sudden somebody shouted like, they're at 12 o'clock. So we like ran to the bow of the boat, and then we were both just looking through our cameras and we just see these 2 big male bull dorsal fins again. We didn't realize at the time, but they were different individuals. We're just getting closer and closer. I ended up starting crying actually. Orcas are one of my top 3 species to see. I've only got 1 left now. And then we were just following this orca, and it was following us for about 20-30 minutes. And at one point it came right below the bow, and we just like looked at it, and it was absolutely amazing. It didn't bow ride, but we were all looking in one direction, and then we turned around and it was just on the other side of the boat. And then it just turned towards us, swam right towards the boat, and then dipped under the bow, and then just came right under us, and we could see right into its eyes. And they were really patient about it. They didn't try and chase the orca. Once we saw it, they like had a really nice distance between us and the orca came to us in the end. So my top 3 are humpback, risso, and orca. Okay. Last year, me and my partner had another trip to Skye. We saw risso from the back of our car off Skye, and that was amazing. Seen orca, so now it's just humpback to see.
Wow. Well, let's hope that Harry manages to tick off the humpback soon. Harry, as I said, was one of our official watchers. The official team received special training leading up to the event. If anybody who wanted to register, as an observer could do so. We had a few online sessions to prepare them for it. And we had a lot of those special volunteers out there. But of course, there are many, many other people up there watching as well. And everyone has a huge part to play in gathering those sightings. But well done on this case to Harry. Now, during the week this year, Orkney had probably most of the sightings. You might remember, those of you who were around last year, there was an awful lot of mist shrouding Orkney for much of the week, and they had a bit of a rough time of it from that point of view with the weather. But the week began for them with an incredible record sighting, record in terms of numbers. 15 orca were seen on the Monday, which is quite something. Kirkwall resident Graham Campbell was the lucky person who saw them, although many others did too, but he reported them to us. And again, we have a short film about his encounter.
Yeah, well, we'd been out since the start of Orca Watch on Saturday. We'd been down at Berwick, and all I spotted on Saturday was 5 harbour porpoises, and then on Sunday we didn't see anything at all. Sunday was a rubbish day weather-wise. Monday, I was just getting ready to go off down to South Ronaldsay to Berwick again, which is a nice viewing spot. I got a message from one of my friends saying that there was something spotted at Yesnaby, which is actually on the west coast of Orkney. And en route, one of my friends phoned me and said that they'd actually moved up towards Scale Bay, which means they were travelling in a north-northwesterly direction. So I took a gamble and I shot over to Burshy, which is a slightly further up the coast, and I picked them up straight away, quite a distance out across the bay with the binoculars. I spotted them blowing, so I jumped back in the car and drove over to the main car park near towards the Orca Burshy. The Orca Burshy itself is a tidal island, which means you can only get across the causeway at low water, and luckily it was low water about 3:30 in the afternoon. So I shot across and ran up to the top of the cliffs, got up to the lighthouse, and there was already a few people walking about. It's a nice spot to spot the puffins. There's a lot of tourists over there looking at the puffins and things. So I spotted the orcas quite soon again. They were a little bit off in the middle of the bay. They seemed to be, I could see the blows, a few blows, and they seemed to be coming up in 2s and 3s. And they were feeding. It's a nice bay we do a lot of fishing. It's a nice fishing spot in the summer months. We get a lot of mackerel, cod and haddock in there. So I thought they must be feeding on fish. They were staying out in the middle of the bay quite a bit for a wee while. And then they started coming in towards us, and I thought they were going to come right into the cliffs, but they suddenly changed, and we kind of lost them in the sunlight. They were coming up in 2s and 3s, so there was at least 5 or more, and then we kind of lost them in the sunlight. It was very bright at that point. We lost them for 5 or 10 minutes. The bull, the main big bull orca, we could see there was a bull, and definitely 1 or 2 bulls, and a few females, and there was a calf as well, a young calf. So we picked them up again. They were kind of spread out, and then they moved around the corner a little bit, and we watched them. They kind of grouped together again, and I got one photograph, kind of distant photograph, but there was at least 6 or 7 fins that were close together in a group by this point again. So there was definitely 7 or 8 in that group. But some people earlier on down at Yesnaby or Marwick had been reporting 2 pods, whether they were split, and they reckon there was up to 15 orcas, maybe possibly 2 pods. But there's definitely one pod that we saw. There was 7 or 8 that passed us, and we watched them for quite some time as they travelled off towards the island of Westray, as we call it. There was a lot of people gathering by this time. You know, there was a few locals and a lot of visitors up on the Brock. It's a popular spot in the summertime. People were asking us if you were seeing anything interesting. We said, "Oh yeah, just some orcas over here." And they were obviously looking for puffins and birds, a lot of seabirds up there, but they were just amazed. This is wow, orcas here. So some of them were getting to see them for their first time, and we gave them a shot of our binoculars and that, and they were just delighted. They would seen orcas for the first times. And like I say, it was a tidal island, so we had to get back down off it because the tide had turned by this time, starting to come back over the causeway. So we had to get off the island. And we all gathered at the main car park. There was still a lot of folk trying to pick them up with scopes and binos, and we watched them disappear onto the horizon. And a lot of people left then, but I stayed, and we picked up, myself and a couple of other people, we picked up a couple of Risa dolphins then, just feeding in close to the Orca Burshy, so that was an added bonus as well. Pod we saw yesterday, we think they were the 12s. They were kind of identified. I think we're quite certain they were the 12s because one of the dorsal fins had the 2 notches missing, and quite distinctive notches out of the fin. the dorsal fin, and it was the 12s. That's one of the Icelandic pods that come here in the summer months for a few months and then go back up to Iceland for the winter. They seem to, yeah. We photographed them last May as well, like exactly a year ago, last May.
Wow, what an amazing sight to see. Wonderful that we have orca at all around our islands. Lots of people, of course, don't really realise that. One of the purposes of Orca Watch is to alert people to the fact that we have them and the need to protect them. But to see that many in a group is absolutely outstanding. Now, sightings did not end there, of course. Fairly busy week in all, and Christina, one of our long-standing Sea Watch volunteers, Christina Wirth, was on Orkney for a large part of Orca Watch, also witnessed a wonderful sighting on the Wednesday, and she has more to tell us about too. However, before she meets up with us, here's a short clip from the interviews done with her in the week of Orca Watch itself.
My pleasure to join you. So this morning we were about to go for a cold water swim, and we had a shout saying that there were 2 bull orcas seen in Ness Sounds off Stromness, Orkney. So we all bundled into our cars and drove over and did a little bit of a hunt trying to find them. Eventually we found them. We all went back to the battery at Ness Point, and we were lucky enough to have them in probably 50 meters away at one point from shore. And then they headed back up past Hoy. And then since then we have followed them along the northwest coastal path. And so we've just driven to Marwick Head. We saw them come through Yesnaby, quite far out, probably 300 or 500 meters to a kilometre. That's a bit further apart, but yeah, about a kilometre out, I would say. And yes, managed to get some photos, and we are just hoping they're going to come across now in front of us. So we've just got to Marwick Head to watch them.
So you think you've basically travelled north to try and get ahead of them in the hope that they're going to do another flyby, yeah?
Yes, they were last seen coming from Yesnaby, headed north, and headed towards Marwick Head direction. So as the orcas the other day did the same pattern, and as a lot of them have always done this, we're taking the gamble and hoping they will come past soon.
Well, fantastic. Well, you're having a great week on Orkney, so hopefully you'll see him again, and we'll catch up with you if you do later in the day.
Yes.
So thanks very much for joining us, and have a great afternoon.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a lovely day. Good luck, everyone, orca watching.
Now, I think Christina Wirth is able to join us now. Are you there, Christina?
I am indeed. Hello, Robin. How are you?
Christina. I did say last year when we chatted that if you kept putting in the effort that you put in last year, you would get your just rewards.
Yes.
And boy, I understand you really did this year.
Yes, I really did. So you had Graham talking about the Monday. So there was a little bit of, I've just remembered this, but so we did the Highland Jig, as people will now know it, at Yesnaby, and called the orcas in, and we'd left to go along to Bursay, and in the process we'd heard about 30 minutes after we'd left, we'd heard people saying that the orcas were going at Yesnaby in front of where we'd done the dance. So we went to Scow Bay and we saw 5 orcas going through and 2 bulls behind. So I've got a friend, her first sighting. So she's done the last 3 orca watches and struggled to see anything. So we got her first orcas. Then followed them to Bursay. And as it turned out, it wasn't just 5. There was that pod of 10 to 12, which Graham, everyone and I saw. It was fantastic. And as I think Graham said, suspected it's the 12s. So yeah, fabulous new pod for me to tick off. The Wednesday, as we had at the video, we were just about to go for our cold water swim, and just as we were about to get in, there was a shout of the 2 bulls, which was Ulfa and Trinky. So we saw them at Stromness at the battery, and then we went along to where did we go to? We went across to Yesnaby, where that was our group photo. So that photo there is the 12s originally. That's the Monday photo that's just popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, so we've had quite a few good days. So we did go over to Marwick. I unfortunately didn't see Orca and Trinky again, but we did have pod of rissos milling around under us. Sightings did not stop there. Thursday, it was a friend's birthday, so we'd had a little get together, and I'd just gone to leave to join the boys at Berwick. I walked up the hill, jokingly said, I'm here, the orcas can appear, to which Robert put his binoculars up and a pod of about 5 or 6 orcas appeared in front of us.
It's just amazing, isn't it?
No, there's no. I promise there's no witchcraft going on. There are jokes of it. And yes, so then we followed them and went to Hoxha and watched them till we lost sight. Which, yes, that's the pod we spotted from Berwick. That was my photo from Berwick. Then on the Friday, again, we had a report of orcas, a big pod. We ended up sort of driving around. We sat on a hill at the home. And we ended up, eventually we sat there. I was trying to get my friend Jo, who's again been struggling to see the orcas and felt a bit cursed, but she'd luckily seen them the Thursday. But we went again, so she wanted a beautiful land sighting, which we got quite a good one. So we went into Scapa, and I've got a photo of a beautiful spy hopping calf, I believe. So this photo up now is Scapa, and this calf was spy hopping. And they came really close to the pier at one point, sort of probably 20 metres away maximum. Mm. And we were almost eye level with them, which was, yes, a few tears did appear.
I don't blame you. I'd have been crying too.
Yeah, it doesn't get boring watching them. Ever. And then left Orkney. I was meant to come off on the Sunday, but I decided to come over Saturday and come and join everyone at Duncansby. And was at Duncansby Sunday. I'd just gone to phone my mum to check that she was okay, looked out my van window and saw a few people doing the orca run over towards the stacks. So luckily Shadow and I grabbed everything and ran over. And yes, luckily saw Orca, and I think that picture potentially is Orca there. Just had a look and I noticed his notch. So Orca and Trinky going past, to which we lost sight of them, and then we went down to Noss Head and waited for them quite a while with a nice group of us there, and then saw Trinky at the Trinky. So that's the wind farms just at the Trinky on the photos behind us. Wow. And then I decided to drive down just in case they went back down to Fraserburgh. But as I was driving down, you could hear the pings, and they were obviously pushing me back down south. I was trying to herd them, not back to Oxfordshire, though, unfortunately.
Well done. I mean, like all of us that do watches, we spend a lot of time staring at empty sea at various points during the year, don't we? And it's just lovely when you do get that reward. And that is what keeps us doing it, isn't it, really? We know we're doing good, even when we're looking at empty sea. But every now and then you do need that reward.
Exactly. Just hanging on for Whale and Dolphin Watch now, next time I can get to the sea.
Yeah, well, we'll say a little bit more about National Whale and Dolphin Watch later. I will just say that you've been photobombed throughout this interview by Shadow just behind you.
Yes.
So there is Shadow, the partner that follows Christina everywhere, or Christina follows Shadow. I'm not quite sure which way it works. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all of your hard work throughout the year for Sea Watch.
My pleasure. Thank you, Robin. Take care.
Talk to you again. Bye for now. Well, as Christina and I indicated there, the main point of Orca Watch, yes, is to have fun and enjoy the sightings and enjoy each other's company in talking about them. But there's a serious purpose behind it all, of course. And it started and continues as an effort to collect data about sightings, about where the animals are and where the animals are not, to try and help study and protect the animals and provide the protection that is needed in the places that it's needed. So we had a number of volunteers around, specially trained in the area, of course. Have the numbers here, 3 or 4 official volunteers out and about in Caithness and North Sutherland, from land and from the John O'Groats Ferry. And in total 10 teams of 3 or 4 actually watching from various places. But those in Caithness and North Sutherland were coordinated by Sea-Watch volunteer and trustee George Boyer, who had originally hoped to be part of the programme tonight, but he has a long-standing family celebration going on. So I know he'll watch this later, so hope you're having a good time tonight, George. Thank you again to you for all of the hard work you put into Orca Watch. And as well as our volunteers and regional coordinators all the way along the Caithness and Sutherland coast, we had partners also in Orkney and in Shetland, Emma Neve Webb and Omri in Orkney, Karen Hall and her people over in Shetland. Huge thanks to them as well. Now, during this whole week, the Orca Watch team at John O'Groats was presenting a regular evening roundup, just a short look at what had been seen there during the day. And our communications and outreach officer, Katie Baker, was a big part of that. She presented most of it along with 1 or 2 other people. And Katie also was going to be here with us tonight, but she also has a family appointment tonight. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Katie and the work that she was doing up there. Here is Katie modelling some of the merchandise, and she was a core member of the Orca Watch team. Hannah, of course, was the big organiser behind the scenes of all of this and was actually up there as well, as was George, as were our regional coordinators. But Katie travelled up there from our base in Newquay, and got these slides to talk about the different things that she was doing. The merchandise we were just looking at in the last slide, I will just mention, there are a few things left, but they are only available directly from our Newquay office. So if you do want any of the Orca Watch merchandise, good reason to go and visit Newquay. That's the one in Wales, not the one in Cornwall, where our field office is. And some of the merchandise, the clothing, is available through the Sea-Watch website. You can go to the shop there. So she's toting one of our special tote bags there with Moose's fin on it. So yeah, you noticed with the other slide there that important part of Katie's work is reaching out to schools. Children, of course, very much more environmentally aware than perhaps some of us were when we were children. And the schools up there, this is Crossroads Primary School, have very much been partners of Sea-Watch in the activities we've undertaken there, trying to teach the children about the animals we have locally and how they can help. And we had a second school, Holkirk Primary School, also very much involved with the event. So Katie worked with both of those schools, visited and talked about Sea-Watch's work and about the amazing wildlife they have in their waters, how important it is to protect them. She was also very much involved with writing a daily blog for us every day, and simple tasks which still require a lot of work, and just helping people find where the base is, producing labels, going around and talking to people, helping to man the base, answer questions, all while, as I say, trying to write a daily blog for us. So a lot of work went into it up there with Katie and the rest of the team. So really good bit of work and well-deserved downtime. Of course, just sitting on the coast watching is often the sort of downtime that those of us that do this enjoy most of all. But here, Katie's just having a really good rest. And I'll just take this opportunity to say one more thank you to Hannah for organising all of this. She worked very hard up there as well. But all of the behind the scenes team as well, and all of our volunteers, observers, regional coordinators, those who helped behind the scenes in putting these programs together, Phil and his team. So a real effort on behalf of Sea Watch and the wildlife in the oceans. Now, another important event that we were linked with up there was through Live Arts and the Live Arts Centre. And we have Jen Argo, who's the lead artist and art educator for Mapping Ocean Change Through Art, here to tell us about the project and share some slides with us. Hello, Jen. I'm not actually hearing you at the moment, Jen.
Hello. Hi,
there we
that
go. Hello. Slight technical issues there. Sorry,
Hiya,
Jen, we
sorry
didn't
about
hear
that.
any of that, I don't think. So, Jen, could you tell us a bit more then, again, about the project?
Yeah, so I'm an artist based in Glasgow, and I'm working with researchers from Strathclyde University in partnership with Creative Carbon Scotland on behalf of the Natural Environment Research Council. So we are looking at climate-driven changes to marine ecosystems between Scotland and the Arctic. So the researchers I work with, they look at things from like microscopic organisms like plankton and copepods and algae up to megafauna like whales. So one particular looks at connections between species, like their food chain dynamics and their migration patterns. So we decided to look at all these connections between species, but also the impacts, like knock-on effects throughout these ecosystems as a result of climate change. So our photographer, Daniel Tulloch, he went all around the Scottish coast interviewing people, researchers and fishers and boat crew and kayakers and people that work in nature reserves to find out about their lived experience of climate change. And then we also interviewed scientists. So we're connecting the like lived experiences with climate data. And then we're doing workshops with the public through Creative Carbon Scotland. So we've paired up with all their climate beacon venues around the coast. That's both like cultural organizations and environmental organizations. And I've been hosting workshops, like creative workshops and science-based workshops with the researchers at lots of different venues around Scotland. So we've been collecting samples of organisms and specimens down on the beach and then looking at them under the microscope. So species like algae and plankton and things like that, and chatting about how these are kind of fundamental foundation species that they provide energy to the whole food chain. So between Scotland and Arctic, and then talking about how changes to their like passive migration routes, their advection routes around the currents that go from the North Atlantic up into the Arctic and then back again over multiple generations. How they've been moving further north because of the warming currents, and that affects other species like sand eels. And because there's less sand eels, that's affecting bird populations. So we've been doing workshops looking at all of that and creating ecosystem collages to help people like map the connections between different species. And kind of get across their own. They've been using text in the collages to get across their own feelings, like their hopes and concerns about climate change as well. So we did a workshop as part of Orca Watch with Sea Life Foundation and Life Arts, and we joined a boat crew on a wildlife tour, and we got to see some porpoises and we got to see some seals and guillemots and puffins, so that was amazing. And then we headed back to Life Arts for a workshop as well with Katie from Orca Watch and Sea Watch Foundation. So yeah, that was a beautiful day, and we got to speak to some of the skippers on the boat and the crew who told us about some of the things they'd noticed, and they'd noticed declining seabird populations recently as well. There's a lot less birds on all the cliffs around Orkney, and that's because this is because of like natural fluxes in populations and migration routes and things like that. So that does happen naturally, but it's also because there's less sand eels for them to eat as well. So they might be their numbers might be in decline, or they might be having to go further away to find food as well. We got to chat to the crew a wee bit about that, which was lovely, and join them in the wheelhouse as well. And that's actually a collage that Katie did from Sea-Watch Foundation. And we've got a few more workshops coming up. One next weekend at the Scottish Oceans Institute in St Andrews, and a biologist that looks at ocean acidification and biomineralization. She's going to be joining us to chat about that, how exoskeletons and shells are formed, and then and the effects of kind of bleaching on coral reefs and ocean acidification, and like effects of temperature, like warming in the oceans and things like that. And then we're doing a workshop up in Harris, looking at with local foragers, looking at changes to habitats that they've noticed. And then we're doing a climate fresque with Clean Coast Outer Hebrides as well. So if anyone's up north and they'd like to join us, that should be really interesting as well. And some of our marine biologists will be joining us as well. So if anyone has any questions, they can answer. So that's the link to the site if anyone wants to find out any more or read any of the interviews we've done. There'll be lots to read on there, or we'll be doing discussions with other groups as well. So yeah, but thank you very much for having us as part of Orca Watch. It was really nice to come along and get to talk to the crew and everything.
Absolute pleasure. I mean, my background actually before this is in primary education, and I can't claim to be a great artist by any stretch, but I always found with the children that actually using art as a medium to look at things like this, following visits to beaches, following stimulation from videos and things of wildlife and so on, that it produced a great talking point. And it's true for children and adults, I think. It's something everybody can get involved with and enjoy. And you've got something tangible there to remind you of the work that's going on, really.
Yeah, it's a nice way to get people talking, and then the kids, like some of the kids know so much more than some of us grown-ups because they're learning so much in schools as well. So it's nice. It's nice to learn from them as well, and
and they're so direct. I mean, the thing I always loved about it is they are so direct about it. They can't understand if we know it's wrong. Why are we still doing it? It's so simple and straightforward to them. So But no, well done, great work, Jen. Thank you very much, and thank you for being part of Orca Watch.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now. Wow, what a great project! Yeah, wonderful way to engage not just with children but with adults as well, and a great way of getting the message across. Now we have large number of partners, not just for Orca Watch, but throughout the work that we do. As I've said a couple of times already, we couldn't do what we do without our partnerships with ordinary members of the public and other organisations. And another of our partner organisations, although not in the core Orca Watch area, but nonetheless very important contributor of sightings, of work protecting whales, dolphins and porpoises, is the Hebridean Whale and Dolphin Trust, and they were very much involved during Orca Watch. And I think we should have Jen available to join us. Sorry, no, I apologise. I've just been talking to Jen. I meant Sadie should be available to come and join. I do apologise, Sadie. Sadie Gorbett from the Hebridean Whale and Dolphin Trust. You can tell us a little bit about your involvement this year.
Hello, thank you for having me. So we are partners with the Sea-Watch Foundation, and this year we are going to be sharing our data that came throughout Orca Watch, which was a decent amount of data. So hopefully we'll get that over to you shortly. So I'm just going to do a quick roundup really of all the sightings that came through to us through our community sightings database Whale Track. So let's have a quick look at the map to see what we had. So yeah, we had 329 reports sent in to us in that week, which is an incredible number. 104 of these were excursions. So this is from people who were out on boats. It could be ferries, it could be tour boats or their own boat, tracking their excursion and then reporting every time they saw something. We had 225 casual sightings sent in to us as well. And we had 10 different species reported throughout the week, which equated to over 4,400 animals, which is just amazing. And there were 71 reporters. So I want to thank everyone who took some time to go out and watch the sea and report what they were seeing to us. So to break it down a little bit more, the species that we were seeing, so I said that we had 10 different species. We had harbour porpoise, which we very much expect. We do love to see a harbour porpoise. We had minke whales, bottlenose dolphins, common dolphins, Risso's dolphins, white-beaked dolphins, had a humpback whale also reported, which is fantastic. Basking sharks. We even had a sunfish reported to us. And of course, we had the killer whales. So the minke whale was actually the one that was most reported, with 97 reports of minke whales. 137 individuals were reported. And then the harbour porpoise was a very close second, with 93 reports for that. But the most abundant species was the common dolphin. So we had 69 reports, but it was over 3,500 individuals within those reports. So that's just incredible. So I've got a couple of pictures there from people who sent in their pictures through the sightings on Whale Track. Now onto the killer whales. So we did get a couple of reports, not many throughout the week. We got 2 reports, one from Fraserburgh and one from around the Small Isles. So that equated to about 5 individuals. But the most exciting report that we had didn't actually come through Whale Track. It actually came via email. And this was from someone called Sarah Frost. So she sent us an email to let us know that she had a sighting of a pod of 8 killer whales. So you can see the pictures of those in just a second. So she saw a pod of 8 killer whales around Skye, and she sent us the pictures and the information about the sighting, hoping we'd be able to ID them for her. So we sent the pictures off to the Scottish Killer Whale Catalogue to see if they could work out who they were. And they ID'd them as the mystery pod that the crew on board research vessel Solarian had first encountered in 2018. Now, I call them the mystery pod because back in 2018, no one knew who this pod was. They weren't in any catalogue, so they were new and they were very exciting. And then in 2021, citizen scientist Asmund took a photograph of them in Norway and sent the photos to Dr. Eve Jourdain from the Norwegian Orca Surveys. And she didn't recognise them as being from the Norwegian catalogue. So she looked at the Scottish Killer Whale catalogue and matched them with that mystery pod that was first seen in 2018. So it's really exciting that this pod has come back to Scotland and been seen around Skye again in 2022. And it was on the first day of Orca Watch as well, which is fantastic. So yeah, if you want to read any more about their story, we've got 3 blogs on our website that kind of outline all about them, but that was very exciting to see that come through.
I love these mysteries. So we don't really know anything of the origin of these animals, who they are, where they're from, what population or anything. They're just turning up.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah, they were brand new in 2018 and then disappeared again for several years until they were spotted in Norway. And that was the first match as well between Norway and Scotland, which is just amazing. And yeah, the fact that they're back, I think everyone's quite excited. So fingers crossed they show up again.
Yeah, I think the other thing you've highlighted there as well, which I think I'd just like to sort of go back to, is that there are lots of other species that we record during Orca Watch as well. It really isn't all about the orca. And I'm sure the people watching this are mainly aware of the fact, but I said at the top of the programme, I work on cruise ships a lot, and I keep telling passengers on board, who are always amazed, I have never sailed through the Hebrides without seeing common dolphins and or minke whales, and usually both, and sometimes other things as well. So they really are quite prevalent in that part of the world, aren't they?
They are, absolutely. Yeah, they're generally the ones that are always at the top of the list of what people are seeing.
Yeah. And just one other thing, and I'm sorry to drop you on this, and if you don't know anything up to date, do say so, but I've picked up a couple of reports on Facebook that John Cohen Aquarius have been hanging around near Mull. I'm guessing you've probably got some reasonably up-to-date information.
Absolutely. I've actually got my sightings log up for them right now because I thought they might get mentioned. Yes, they have been seen very recently. I think, obviously, I didn't work yesterday, so the last sighting that I've got recorded was from Friday. They were around Mull. They actually came all the way into Loch na Kill, which I was so surprised to hear about. I think people may have actually seen them from land at that point as well. So they were seen by a fair few people in the last couple of days, and potentially might get seen again. I did check Whale Track earlier, and there was a potential sighting of them today. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, in case anybody watching isn't aware of them, these are, as far as we know, the last two surviving members of the West Coast community of orca, which were once described as our only orca pod in the UK. Of course, we know a lot different nowadays, but yeah, it's lovely to have them around still, though.
It is, absolutely.
Well, Sadie, thank you so much for all of the work. Again, not just Orca Watch, but the work you all do all year round, and your partnership with Sea Watch. Really important. We all work together, and yeah, you're great partners. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me tonight.
Absolute pleasure. See you again. Bye for now. Wow. Well, at this point, I was planning to introduce to you Claudia Feltra, who's our sightings officer at Sea Watch, but unfortunately, Claudia can't be with us tonight. Just taken ill yesterday, nothing too serious, but she's not able to join us tonight. So she has very kindly sent on the information that she was going to share with you, and I'm going to go through it with you now, if we can bring that slideshow up. So what Claudia's job is to coordinate all of our regional coordinators and help with the interns at Sea Watch to collate all of the sightings information, and to help share it with people. So as you can see from Claudia's slideshow here, the preliminary report, and I do stress that this is a preliminary report. Claudia has put this together at quite short notice. We need to go through, collate a few more of the sightings, make sure none of them are duplicated and that kind of thing. But 339 sightings recorded during Orca Watch of 9 different species and 8 unidentifiable animals. That doesn't mean it's an unknown species, of course. That's just they were too far away, or the visibility was too poor to identify species. And we have a number of ways of reporting information. I'll talk a little about the app in a few minutes, but you can report any sightings directly on the Sea Watch Foundation website. There is an online form there that you can complete. We still have paper forms, actually, but we didn't need to use those this year. But you can download and use paper forms if you prefer. But we also had a WhatsApp group chat for the core watchers to report sightings on quickly. Of course, more detailed information is available later. So fabulous number of sightings, but as Claudia said, just a note of warning, some of them may be duplicates. So she and the team will carry on working on those, and full results will be available later. So the species seen, the usual suspects. Humpbacks are technically rare sightings in the UK, but actually are increasingly being seen, and a few. They're really rare because we do see them every year, and we see them in quite a few places around the UK every year. But when we do see them, there's only the odd one here and there, and it's there for a while and gone usually. So minkies, though, as we've said, very regular sightings all over the UK, as is the harbour porpoise, and common dolphins in key areas such as the Hebrides and off the southwest coast in particular. And we have a few more species that were seen during the week. Oh, we've got numbers as well. That's excellent. Numbers of sightings you can see there. So as I was suggesting, humpback whales tend to be the only odd one or two. Some of the other species more commonly seen and larger numbers. So 52 individual minke whales, for example, 119 harbour porpoises. Common dolphins, 23, and again, mainly been seen around the Hebrides, I'm sure. Moving on again. So we have the bottlenose dolphin, Risso's dolphin, grey seal, and harbour seal. We've got some numbers just popping up there, which is great. So bottlenose dolphins, particularly, of course, originally known for our area anyway, up in the Moray Firth, but increasingly seen all the way down as far as where I live in Yorkshire. 18 sightings of 141 animals in total, but they are seen along the north coast of Scotland and in the Hebrides as well. Risso's dolphins, amazing looking creatures, all those nicks and scratches, 44 sightings, 52 animals. Lots of grey seals, 92 sightings of 239 animals, and 16 of harbour seals, 68 individuals. So lots of really good sightings to add into the database. As we say, we just need to double check that none of those are actually duplicated. So I think that's all I have from that at all. I'm just double checking with now I've got a few more things. I do apologise because I say I'm using Claudia's presentation here. So the Orca, 58 sightings in total, 207 individual animals. And as we've seen, some of those sightings looking at some quite large groups, which is quite unusual. Others just groups of 2 or 3 here and there. And Claudia has very kindly put together some figures, again provisionally, of numbers seen over the years from official volunteers, but also the number of hours of effort. As you can see, 2021, of course, badly affected in terms of numbers of people able to take part. 2020 didn't happen at all. So we've really built up to good numbers in terms of the effort being put into it now. And hopefully this will continue to grow next year. So more sightings this year than before. All of those areas, Caithness, North Sutherland, Orkney and Shetland. And total sightings in 2022 throughout all of Scotland, not just in the core area, 339 sightings of 973 individual animals. Quite remarkable. Again, so many people still don't realise we have any at all, or if we have any, they're only just occasional visitors. But of course, what we've been able to prove over the years with the dedicated team of observers that we have, all the other groups of people who are our partners in different parts of the country, that we do have a lot of animals, and there are places where you can see animals quite regularly, various species. So why do we gather all of this information? And I've hinted at it already, but the results of Orca Watch specifically will be published in a full report when all of the data has been checked. There may even be more still to come in. And that will help us build up distribution maps and other information to tell us where and when the various species occur, but also where they are not. And that is really important. Christina and I joked about it earlier. The effort data is just as important as sightings. It might not be quite as much fun looking at a blank sea, but if you do watch and see a blank sea, it is important to tell us that, because once we know how much effort has been put in, when they're not being seen, or where they're not being seen, it really helps build up a more complete picture. We can then analyse trends annually and throughout the year and from year to year. And all of that information, not just from Orca Watch, but from all of the watching that goes on all year, helps increase our knowledge and awareness of these creatures around the British Isles. And then we can provide the advice that is so vital when deciding on conservation measures, creations of special areas of conservation, marine protected areas. And Sea Watch provides a lot of important advice to a lot of different bodies. We share information with other organisations and provide advice, at not just national government level, but up to EU level and beyond. Peter, our director, has spoken at the United Nations on the subjects around cetacean conservation and marine fisheries and such like. So again, a big thank you to everyone involved, from every volunteer who sends in sightings, all our regional coordinators, and the team back in Newquay, our interns and our paid officers that do all of the work. But tonight, especially, observers, volunteers that make these events what they are. As Claudia says, we really could not have done it without you. So thank you very much indeed. Now, one of the things that was mentioned there, I'm just going to take a sort of step away from Orca Watch for just a moment. We mentioned the Sea Watcher app, the recording app, and I'd just like to say a few words about that, because if you're not aware of this, unlike some things that you buy on the internet, the Sea Watcher app is genuinely free. It's not going to ask you for money after you've downloaded it, and you can download it for tablet or phone, and it's a fabulous way of getting involved as a citizen scientist. So as I said, free for iOS or Android. If we just keep the slide rolling, it should bring up the logo. Look for that in the usual places, in the various app stores. And once you have it, you can submit individual sightings just with the click of a few buttons. You can conduct surveys, different types of surveys. I'll look at that in a minute. But crucially, there are video guides and the species pack, which means that it's an incredible reference tool. There's video clips of the different species we see around the UK. There are fact sheets and other information that you can look at. Includes distribution maps, as we'll see in a minute. And once the data is in there, you can look not only at your own submissions, but you can look at everybody else's as well. And I've got a few slides really just to show that. So I do urge you to please do download this. If you only just use it to learn more, it's a great tool. But obviously, if you can contribute either one-off sightings or do the various types of surveying, you can see here from land, a walking survey is exactly what it sounds like. Go for a walk on the cliffs, set it off when you start walking. It will use the GPS in your device to record where you are. And when you finish, just click and it ends. And if you haven't seen anything, well, we've got to report that there was nothing there. If you do see something, you can report it. Fixed point survey, like the lady here, just set up in one location with a scope or binoculars or just a naked eye if you don't have them. And if you have access to a boat, you can record your voyage. Again, from beginning to end, the GPS will do all of the hard work for you. All you need to do is just enter the environmental conditions occasionally and click a few buttons if you see a sighting. An absolutely amazing way to get involved. There's a full guide available there, and I'm actually working on video guides, which will be posted very soon, probably on our YouTube site as well as on the main Sea Watch page. But you can really self-teach yourself. Here's a selection from the killer whale part of the species pack. When you're identifying animals, you click on these images, but you've got 2, 3, 4 images of each species to look at, a fact sheet with a full description and ID, as you see there, video that you can have a look at. And rolling on to the next slide, there are distribution maps, so you can see where and when species are most often seen. So it's a great download, as I say, genuinely free. Here's the a selection of the various maps there are. So the first bit with the 17 on, that's various sightings that I've entered personally there, and I can zoom back into them and see what I saw and when. But you've also got a heat map of all of the sightings, and you can investigate that further. You can look for where a particular species is seen. You can see there I've zoomed in on a particular pair of sightings of killer whales, for example. So it's a great tool, free to download, and we're very grateful to our partners at Bangor University and the CCAMS unit and Nova Innovation that provided the technical side of things. And also the funding from EU funds and from within Wales as well. So if you do download that, I hope you enjoy reporting on sightings, learning more about our animals, and I've got a few more images just to scroll through on this slide with a few more thank yous. Yeah, if we roll on again. I'm going to talk a little bit later about the members scheme, but Sea-Watch's model has always been, we are first and foremost about recruiting observers and encouraging people to get involved in helping to study and protect all of these animals. But of course, we can't do that without funding. And one great way to learn more about the animals, as well as supporting us, would be to become a member of the Sea-Watch Foundation. And I will say a little bit more about that later. But for now, I hope you found that information about the app useful and interesting. Thank you, Claudia, for your slideshow. I don't know if you're watching tonight, but I hope you feel better soon. Okay, so let me just have a look at that. I've done this bit. I just need to check through this running order now. So, yeah, we're going to move on now to another nice little bit of film. We have some filmmakers working with us, Lauren Eels and Antonia Salter. And throughout Orca Watch, they were around and about putting a promotional film together for us. And we have an early little bit of the footage. They're still working on the final piece of film, the final film itself, but they've released a little bit of early footage here. And we're first going to see George, our Sea-Watch trustee and volunteer coordinator, and then Katie to tell us a little bit about Orca Watch. So let's just watch the film clip.
For those who want to develop the skills further, we have a 2-day in-depth cetacean surveying course, which consists of videos, presentations and lectures.
Orca Watch was set up in 2012 by our then regional coordinator Colin Bird after there were proposals to put tidal turbines into the Pentland Firth. It was that with the other threats that cetaceans face, pollution, bycatch and boat strikes, that led to the establishment of Orca Watch.
Okay, so when that film clip is that film is all finally finished, and that will obviously be released. But you heard George there talking about the Sea-Watch Foundation training course as something that you might like to do. We offer a whole 2-day training course down at our Newquay base. Usually, it occasionally goes on the road, but having it down at Newquay enables us to work with our boat partners at Dolphin Spotting Boat Trips down there, and to offer a really high chance of actually sighting cetaceans during the training course. So you'll actually get to do field trips on land and on the boats, and to meet pretty much all of the team at various times. The director, Peter Evans, takes part in the training event. Our paid officers down there. I've been involved sometimes as well. It's a really nice way to get together and see everything that's going on at Sea-Watch headquarters. And the next course is advertised on the website, but it will be on the 27th and 28th of August. As I say, 2-day course down there. A great chance to ID or to improve your ID skills and knowledge of cetaceans. Of course, you can do a little bit of revision now if you download the app first. And to go down there and meet the team. So I hope some of you have been enthused by your involvement in Orca Watch and may like to go and develop your skills further. So that's the 27th and 28th of August. But you can look for more details also on the Sea-Watch website, seawatchfoundation.org.uk. Well, I've got a few more things to do tonight, but we are getting towards the end of the Orca Watch part of this, and we'll start looking ahead shortly. But first, we'd like to say some more thank yous to our partners and to others. And our director, Professor Peter Evans, was going to originally take part in this, but he's quite deservedly taking a short break. In fact, he's currently off Svalbard, enjoying some nice sightings over there, I hope. But before he went, he recorded his thanks to everyone involved in Orca Watch.
So I just want to thank many people here who have contributed to this event, all the official volunteer observers for collecting the all-important data to help protect these wonderful animals, Steve Trulock for helping get eyes on the cetaceans and for helping to host the opening evening of talks with George, all the other dedicated watchers who return year after year to share the excitement of orca watching, the John O'Groats Ferry for running the wildlife cruises as well as the discounted scheduled trips, allowing our surveyors on board each trip, our regional coordinator on Shetland, Karen Hall, and from Orkney, Omri, and the Hebridean Whale and Dolphin Trust, who have contributed information from their end as well on the West Coast. Hugh Harrop from Shetland Wildlife, Julia Sutherland from EcoPreds at St Andrews University, and Dr. Chloe Robinson from OceanWise across the Atlantic in North America, and Emma Neve Webb from Omri, all of whom contributed to our opening evening of talks. I'd like to thank James Copeland, the regional coordinator for North Kent, for his help at the evening of talks, as well as helping get eyes on the sea. Christina Wirth, Karen Hall and Robin Petch for dialing in during our daily roundups. Claire Boardman, our regional coordinator, for supporting the event in a myriad of ways, always with good humour. And thanks also to her partner, Phil. Paul Castle, the Highland High Life Ranger, for his continued support. He's been a wonderful support to Sea-Watch for many years now, sending observations from the North Coast. Stephanie and her team at Together Travel for letting us take over the Harbour Library at our base, and to Zoe back at head office. The cabin at John O'Groats for offering discounted food and drink to our hungry, sometimes cold watchers. Thanks to all our accommodation partners, Together Travel, the Crofters Snug, the Northern Sands Hotel, Pentland Lodge Hotel, Seaview Hotel, and Windhaven Bed and Breakfast and Camping. The local community, we mustn't forget them, represented by the John O'Groats Development Trust and Dunnes and Canisby Community Council, who've been a wonderful support to us. The Pulteney Centre for hosting our evening of talks, Crossroads Primary and Hulkirk Primary for inviting us to talk to them, Lith Arts for inviting us to join their Mapping Ocean Change workshop, the Caithness and North Sutherland Development Fund for partially funding the event, the Sea-Watch staff, of course, back at New Quay, helping to verify and add the sightings to the database, and of course to Philip Barnes of Barnstorming Productions for directing all the online programming. And finally, the Orca Watch team, Steve Marquis for support with social media before the event, George Boyer, Orca Watch volunteer, coordinator for organising and supporting the volunteers, and Boyer for staffing the base and helping look after the team, Katie Baker, Sea-Watch's communications and outreach officer for handling the social media, engaging with the local schools and staffing the base, Neil Parkinson for technical support in John O'Groats and Wick and for the online programming, and certainly not last but not least anyway, Hannah Parkinson, our project manager, for producing the entire event which has taken many months to organise, and for bringing Orca Watch to you all to life. Huge thanks to all of you. Join us on the 26th of June for the final part of Orca Watch 2022, an online broadcast in which we look back at the event and review the initial findings, and that will be hosted by Sea-Watch Ambassador Robin Petch. I unfortunately again won't be able to attend that because I'm going to be up in Svalbard, maybe looking at orcas there, some of the Arctic orcas in the Barents Sea. So thanks very much to all of you for participating, and hope to see you again next year. Thanks very much.
And last and certainly not least, thanks again to Robin for stepping in at the last minute to actually help and host this programme. So thank you, Robin. We couldn't do it without you.
Oh, bless. Thank you very much indeed. That's very kind. You know I love it. Great to be here. I've got a couple of extra thanks to add to it as well, actually, and that's to Antonia and Lauren for the promotional film that they're putting together, and also Jake and Matt, who made True Look the movie, which was one of the highlights of our evening of talks. Now, I said before we go, we want to remind you about our next big citizen science event, which is the National Whale and Dolphin Watch, of course. And I have some information here. I've been involved with it right from the very beginning. 2002 was the first time we did the National Whale and Dolphin Watch. Back then, 380 sightings of a total of 1,695 animals was made at that point. Last year, despite some restrictions still, that 380 sightings became 1,630 sightings, and instead of 1,695, 9,154 animals were seen. So over that 20 odd years, it's become a major event. And this year it starts on Saturday, July the 23rd, and runs until Sunday, July the 31st. More information about the event can be found on the Sea-Watch Foundation website there. You can see the usual address with the /NWDW, or just use the menu system. And the reason we do National Whale and Dolphin Watch, well, there's a number of reasons, really. One of them is just to raise awareness of the huge diversity of cetaceans, of whales, dolphins and porpoises to be found around the UK coast. Now, some of them are seen very, very rarely, but 30 different species have been recorded in the waters of UK and Ireland since Sea-Watch began gathering this data. And probably half of those are seen at least reasonably frequently, some of them very frequently, particularly in certain parts of the country. But for that whole week, our regional coordinators and many other of our volunteers and our partners will be out manning lookout posts all around the coast of the UK and Ireland, recording sightings and really letting the public know of just what there is to be seen all around the coast. You can set up your own watch, or if you'd rather, you can join one of the organised watches already being prepared. And if you keep checking back at the website, you will find all of the information that you need, including a list of all of the sites that we are aware of. Most of people report their site to us so that we can let people know where it's going to be. You'll find information also at times in local media and so on telling you what's going on. But the main source would be the National Whale and Dolphin Watch pages on the Sea-Watch Foundation website. And as well as raising awareness, a bit like Orca Watch, it provides a snapshot of sightings from the entire coast of our island nation. And by getting that snapshot, it just gives us something to compare year on year, but also just gives a real boost to the amount of sightings data that goes into that national sightings database that Peter began back in the 1960s. That database, the biggest sightings database in Europe, and who knows, maybe elsewhere too, but certainly the longest running and largest in Europe. And that information helps us to understand more about the status and distribution of cetaceans around our coast, and the impact of human activity, but also any other dangers that the animals face. And by collecting that information, we can, as we've said before, provide information to hopefully gain greater protection, particularly for the key areas where cetaceans are seen. It's also a great opportunity for us to recruit new observers. People that come along to these events perhaps didn't realise how much wildlife we have around the coast can be recruited as observers, and we hope also to recruit new members at the same time. So it's a great event to get involved with, whether you want to organise and run either a private or public watch yourself for at least 1 or 2 days of that week, or just to come along and take part in it with others who've already done the work and organised that watch. So that date again, 23rd to the 31st of July this year. I hope you'll all get involved with us. Now, I've mentioned the membership a few times now, and I just, again, before we go on to look at some provisional dates for Orca Watch next year, say a few words about the membership scheme, which I set up and still administer. It's been running for almost 2 years. It might be almost exactly 2 years now, in fact. And it's a great way of learning more about whales, dolphins and porpoises and the work of the Sea-Watch Foundation, while helping to provide funds for the vital work that we do. Got a few flashes which will appear on this slide in just a moment. So yeah, if you will like to get involved, it's going to cost you from as little as £3.50 a month. Rolling on. So this is the My Sea-Watch membership page, and you can have a look at some parts of that before you actually sign up. Some parts of it are private for members only. Other parts of it are available for everybody to have a look at. And certainly the homepage, it provides the information about why you might like to become a member. And the website address, I'll get it to zoom in now on the website address, is members.seawatchfoundation.org.uk. Lots of information there on the site, not just about the membership scheme, but about becoming part of the organisation as an observer. Okay, if you do join up, there's a number of benefits, including this dedicated My Sea-Watch website. As I say, parts of that are only available to members. And just zoom into that information. This is the how to become a member. One of the things you can do, you'll see on that page, is there is a free trial issue that you can click on with no obligation. It's the first ever edition of the magazine back in the summer of 2020. We do a new magazine quarterly, bulletins monthly, and you'll get a welcome email and various other bits of information if you do sign up. And you can sign up on an annual basis. Credit, debit card or PayPal are the options for signing up at the moment. Moving on, got a little news flash. We've already looked at that. £3.50 a month. We have a family or premium membership available as well for a little bit more money with extra benefits. Family members also get the Adopt a Dolphin newsletter. Premium members get the Adopt a Dolphin newsletter and an expanded version of the magazine and bulletin, and some access to high quality digital photographs as well, and a few other bits and pieces. This is the magazine. As I say, the magazine itself comes out quarterly, and I've got a slide of last year's Orca special here, give you an idea of the information. Around about 40 pages maximum, sometimes in the 30s. But we did an Orca special spring last year, so lots of information there. If you do become a member, that magazine is still available to download as well. Okay. So as I said, there are additional benefits for becoming a family or a premium member, which will pop up in just a second. There we go. And one of the premium benefits is the Marine Mammal Observer's Handbook that Sea-Watch produced, is an additional benefit for the premium member. Okay. And one more. So there we go. In summary, love you to become a member. I can guarantee you that every single penny of the membership goes directly to Sea-Watch. I know that because as part of my volunteer ambassador role, and not only have I set that up, but I actually run and administer the site, so there are no costs to Sea-Watch other than the rental of the site itself and the software to run it. So please, if you would like to support our work further, if you've enjoyed being part of all of this, it's not required for anyone who wants to send us sightings and become an observer, but we would like to encourage, obviously, as many people as possible to sign up to our membership scheme. Okay, well, coming very close to the end now, and we need to look ahead to Orca Watch 2023. Now, I just need to stress before I give you any dates that these are just provisional dates. We do try to announce the final dates as soon as we possibly can, because we are very conscious that people need to book accommodation, campsites and the like. We really seriously do intend to be there again, and we do intend to be there at these dates, but we obviously cannot guarantee it. Things might change, so provisionally only. If the last 2 years have shown us anything, we can never quite count on anything, can we, anymore? So the provisional dates are Saturday, May the 27th to Sunday, June the 4th next year. So that's when we hope to be back up there in Scotland, Shetland, Orkney again. If you want the latest information about what is happening there, we've actually got the members address on there, but there is a mailing list that you can join. Check the Orca Watch page on the main Sea-Watch website. As I say, that tag underneath there we go, seawatchfoundation.org.uk. Check the website for the latest information, ask to join the mailing list, and we'll keep you up to date with our plans. Now, as I've been saying, it's really this show is the end of Orca Watch for this year. Behind the scenes, there is still more work to do, as we've said, collating data and so on. There will be a final report goes out eventually, but the focus now of the Sea-Watch team is mainly on National Whale and Dolphin Watch and all of the other work that goes on there. So the Orca Watch Facebook page and group will not be monitored as regularly as it was, and there won't be regular updates on the Orca Watch page. The Orca Watch email will also not be monitored to the extent that it was before, because that particular event is over. We go back to all of the other work we do, and do bear in mind that most of the team are volunteers, and the core paid team have an awful lot of work to do routinely and do a lot of overtime in order to make it possible for these big events to go ahead. So please do be understanding if you do post or email and you don't get a reply. It may well be some time before you do. So apologies for that, but that's the way it is, I'm afraid. Lots of other work to do now. It's been a real pleasure being part of this again. Again, who knows? Next year I may be doing the same thing again, or I may be up there in person, as I'd planned to be this year, but equally I may be sailing somewhere on a ship. Who knows what the next year will bring, but it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you all again, sharing in the pleasure and the passion of Orca Watch. And I'm going to leave you now with a slideshow of various memories submitted by the volunteer observers and the Orca Watchers. Thank you again. Enjoy not just this, but your orca, whale, dolphin, porpoise watching in the future. Bye from me.